I just spit all over, drooled all over myself. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. You guys smiling already? Good. It's my job. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're glad and thankful to have you here. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Don't forget to click that like button. You can also lick it like I just spit all over. How you doing? It's good to see Cell Block, Thormock, Drew Van Runkle, BB for Liberty, Andy Opperman, South Cott from the Isle of Alderney. Kermode Bear is here. We're all sleepy, but by the end of the show today, you're going to be waked up, not woke. Welcome to Wake Up America. We don't sugarcoat tyranny on this show. We're going to throw it in a blender with ice and serve it with a side of sarcasm. I'm AP. They call me AP for Liberty because that's what I'm all about. We got a buffet of stupidity today. Hope you're hungry. Washington, D.C., the nation's most expensive clown college, has managed to run out of other people's money again. The government shutdown has reached the sorry no groceries phase. The USDA announced that starting November 1st, food stamp payments are suspended. Oh no. 41 million Americans, 1 in 8 people, are about to find out what happens when the government credit card is finally hit its limit. Picture it. The EBT card slides, the screen blinks, decline. Welcome to the food stamp freakout. The checkout lines are about to look like Black Friday at Walmart meets Mad Max. So now the USDA does have $6 billion in reserve to prevent this exact crisis. But do they use this? No, they would rather let poor families panic. They would rather use this to blame Republicans and, of course, squeeze a few headlines out of the starving poor. Because, of course, nothing says compassion like using hungry people as human shields in your budget tantrum. They're like Hamas for Americans.
So y'all motherfuckers want to cut off the food stamps. Cut off the food stamps, and most of the poor month, that motherfuckers need food stamps. What did you think was going to happen? I live in Philadelphia. What do you think is going to happen? Mm-hmm. Well, there's people out here riding, stealing, and all this shit. Where do you think I'm gonna be? Yeah, here's my list, sir. Here you go. Thank you very much. Give them a motherfucking $10. They come out with a whole fucking Thanksgiving dinner. They wouldn't eat.
Food stamps denied. Denied. Of course, Congress is still getting paid. They can't pass a budget. I bet you that if you drug tested Congress, they wouldn't pass a drug test either. They're dining on taxpayer-funded ribeye at the Capitol Grill, while the rest of the country, they're telling us, sorry, we're out of sandwiches. Yeah, exactly. That was not a woman who looks like she has lost a lot of meals. There we go. So, still have that echo. Kermode? Yeah. It's very frustrating, isn't it? I'm going to try this again. I'm going to play a clip. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a clip of a psycho leftist woman. I want you to tell me if I fix it. I'm going to fix this in real time. Are you guys ready? Okay, here we go. You tell me if this fixes it. Okay, I'm going to do a little test. There's going to be an echo, and then hopefully it goes away halfway through, but I don't cut off my microphone. Here we go. Ready? And go.
Finally, if you think this Zoran thing is happening just in New York, and you think people are waking up only in New York City, you're mistaken. Look at this clip of a wine mom at the No Kings March. Play the clip.
His name was?
Charlie Kirkman?
Yeah, him's horrible. Horrible.
Charlie Kirk is horrible?
Yes, I'm glad he's not here.
I don't know why it's coming out of two sources.
Why would you say something like that?
Yeah, see, now does that mute it completely for you guys? Are you hearing it? Yes or no? It's like...
Same thing. Would you be glad if I would die?
Maybe. I have to think about it.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Be ashamed of yourself.
Her friend just said she'd be happy if I died.
I don't get it. I don't understand why.
So listen up, Democratic establishment. You can either jump on
It was
board
fixed
with
for a
this
second.
shit, or we're coming after you in the same way that we come after MAGA.
All right, I'm going to do this. I hate to do this to you guys. I'm sorry that I have to do this in real time, but I literally have no other way. I have no way of understanding why it's doing that right now. I can see it's coming out of two sources, but one of the sources is my microphone. So if I mute that, then I mute my microphones. It's just extremely complicated, and I apologize for, you could call me an idiot or whatever you like, guys, but I just have to troubleshoot this live.
Period. Stop taking...
Okay. Can you hear it now? If you can hear it now, I can't hear it now. If you can't hear it now, we both can't hear it now. Right? No, you can't hear it, right? Now you can hear it.
Show up because they're pussies.
I can hear it.
They're pussies that are beholden to the same corporations that helped Donald Trump get elected.
And now you're hearing it.
And this is just
and
an
it's echoing, right?
Kudos to Bernie, to AOC, to Zoran. And that woman out in somewhere middle America saying, fuck Charlie Kirk, he was a racist, he was a piece of shit. There are so many more of us than there are of them. And these Democrats that continue to play patty cake with corporations and lobbyists, nobody wants that. Nobody wants you. We want politicians to speak freely and look at what the benefit is. Look at what is happening in New York. And you dipshits are sitting on the sidelines, running your social media like complete dorks. It's embarrassing. Get your shit together. Hakeem and Chuck, seriously, get your shit together, because the Democratic Party is moving on. We are moving on.
Yeah, you can hear it. I don't know what the hell's going on, guys. So we're just going to have to deal with this. I'll try and mitigate it the best I can today. Sorry. Super annoying. Anyways, womp womp. Here we are. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. All right. So here's the truth about this, guys. EBT stands for electronic benefit transfer. But it might as well mean everybody buys T-bones. For years, bureaucrats have run the most expensive buffet in human history, and now they're shocked that the kitchen's out of food. So you know who's not going to go hungry? The fraudsters, the crooks, the welfare state parasites who've turned scamming Uncle Sam into an Olympic sport. We got store owners swapping food stamps for cash, government employees running fake benefit networks, and hackers have been selling stolen EBT card numbers online like concert tickets. It's a fraud fest, and it's time to shut it down. Yeah, Drew Van Runkle, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to mute my mic in between during clips, so no other choice. So here's the thing. Every time we catch one of these fraudsters, the bureaucrats, the left, they always act surprised. Oh, how did another 36 million disappear? Like it wasn't their job to guard the vault. But you know what this really is? This is proof that when you make dependency a lifestyle, you end up with 41 million hostages in a government that can't feed them without first feeding itself. I say, let it collapse. Let's see how fragile this system is. When you've built your life on borrowed money and bureaucratic promises, maybe then we'll see something. I know the left finds this to be radical, but it's called self-reliance.
There is nothing wrong with someone being on food stamps, okay? Y'all are highly mistaken to sit there and criticize someone for getting that help that they need for their family. And y'all keep coming for me because I've been on food stamps for the past 15 years. You do realize that I qualified for food stamps because of my income, right? Because I don't have any income. I haven't had income in the past 15 years, and I have been able to have my bills paid, my food paid for, and I'm in Section 8 housing, okay? These are all programs that I'm entitled to because I do not make enough, okay? So before you go and pass judgment on someone, realize that everyone's life situation is not going to be the same as yours, okay? You might work 40, 50 hours a week and you might have income coming in, but there's people like me out here who don't have anything to their name that have to rely on these programs because they don't have jobs, What do you expect us to do?
Expect you to get a job, bitch. Get a job. Get a job, you can slobs. All he replied. 15 years. And she's on TikTok on a newish smartphone. LMAO. Exactly. If you're on TikTok with $1,000 smartphone, EBT denied. So the first act of our theater today is going to be the great EBT Freakout, all the waste, all the corruption, and the sheer comedy of watching the world's biggest welfare state run out of welfare. In our second act this morning, palate cleanser of competence. President Trump lands in Japan to meet Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, a woman who believes in borders, strength, and discipline. Imagine that, a leader who doesn't need a bailout to buy lunch. You love to see it. Later, Judge Napolitano at 8 a.m. Central Time is going to join us here to talk about the socialist infestation of New York City, Zoran Mondani's campaign to turn the Big Apple into a commune with potholes. And then we're going to talk at 8:30 a.m. to Hannah Goodman, who just left the Libertarian Party to infiltrate the Democrats and to remind them of what a real American liberal used to look like before they all went woke and broke. 8:30 today. What a guest lineup. What a topic lineup. Is that not worth a simple $1 Rumble Rant donation, please, sir, so I can feed my child? Good morning, Sprinkle of Spice. What a pleasure to see you over there on YouTube. We'd love it if one day you joined us over on Rumble. Join us. Come play with us, Danny. Come play with us. So the A1 segment today, the great EBT Freakout. We'll unpack the household level ramifications and the welfare dependency structure, the moral and political realignment that it suggests. The A2 today, from grocery carts to global alliances, we're going to shift to Japan and what the Trump Takaichi meeting means for Western civilization. Yosh! And then we're going to talk about the American defense strategy a little bit. Get yourself a cup of Liberty coffee and take your ass to work, says Cell Block. Amen. Amen. Concrete jungle. I thought Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich put a cap on welfare. Not all kinds, asked Quest Fanning. Oh, so optimistic there, Quest. And then after Judge Napolitano, we're going to go to Hannah Goodman in Colorado and how the old Libertarian Party, the new Democrat insurgents, and the realignment beneath all of this feeds into our themes this morning of strength and dependency. It's going to be a fantastic Wake Up America show. So today's show is not comfortable because of collapse of food aid systems. It's not comfortable because of the way that we're going to handle these situations. But if you care about Western civilization, if you care about liberty, if you care about conserving what makes us strong, this is the show that you have to pay attention to this morning. So pour yourself a cup of that capitalist coffee right there. Grab a box of Founding Flavors. If you're not a monthly subscriber, you should be. John and Casey's drinking some Washington's Revolutionary Roast right now. John, you are a great American. Thank you, brother. All right. Well, we'll call it the Great EBT Freakout. Oh, my God. Now I'm not even getting any audio. Oh, there we go. Here we go.
Walmart's about to learn you don't mess with the neighborhood.
Disney and Pixar present Shaniqua Hood. When the help ran out,
Benefits ended.
she picked up a bow.
They took food off our tables. I'm taking it back.
From Disney and Pixar.
Walmart's about to learn you don't mess with the neighborhood.
Disney and Pixar present Shaniqua Hood.
I have to mute my mic every time I go to that scene so that it doesn't echo. Sorry, guys. It's just going to be a lot of button pushing today. Hopefully, I'll get it all right. So let's jump in. So across the country, this quiet crisis is unfolding, right? It's not a headline that you're watching every 30 seconds, but you should be, because we're standing on the edge of what could be a food aid catastrophe next week. Here's the key fact. According to a memo from the United States Department of Agriculture, the agency will not use its roughly $5 billion contingency fund to pay the November benefits for the SNAP program. So if the federal shutdown continues into next week, nearly 41 to 42 million Americans, 1 in 8 people, are at risk of seeing their food stamps end on November the 1st. So let's slow down and unpack why this matters. because it's not just for those Americans. This is a question about our entire economy, because when or if this happens, we are going to feel the shockwaves damn near immediately as people are unable to purchase food. You want to talk about people being angry. Now, 50% of the food that they're buying is junk food and snacks. A third of all of the spending on EBT tends to be administrative costs, bloat, waste, and assorted shenanigans that this money comes from. So are 1 in 8 people going to be affected? Potentially, but it could be lower, right? Because Congress has failed to pass the appropriations. The federal government's been shut down. What is this, since October 1st? So the funding stream for SNAP is going to be frozen. States have been receiving warning notices. Pennsylvania, Texas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, New York, other states have also flagged that they could not issue November benefits if the funding is not restored. Drew Van Runkle says, be prepared to help your effing neighbor. It isn't that hard. Amen. Amen. Now, the USDA went further, posting a notice on their website that on November 1st, there will be no federal food aid issuance. So as states that do try to fund their benefits on their own are told by the USDA, if they do that, they will not be reimbursed. So who is affected by this? Millions of people, right? Working families, senior citizens, people with disabilities, right? In a widely cited estimate, about 42 million people use SNAP. One story from Food Research and Action Center says that SNAP plays a pivotal role for individuals and many families. It is their sole source of food. So like that woman we posted earlier, she had for 15 years, she has been on these EBT benefits. So now this is going to be a serious shock for some of these people, right? What happens when the food banks, if they're already overwhelmed, now they're going to be expecting a tidal wave. And then there are people like this.
There are people that genuinely think that people who use EBT don't deserve soda, candy, or desserts. You're gonna tell me that my daughter doesn't deserve a popsicle? You're gonna tell me I don't deserve to get brownies? And all I'm hearing is be grateful, be grateful. It's free food. Get off of your throne of entitlement.
See, this is why taxpayers are fed up. It's not about people who genuinely need supplemental nutrition assistance. It's about people like this spouting off about what they deserve while working families are clipping coupons and telling their kid to put the Doritos back because they weren't on sale that day.
Damn right. Damn right. Right. So this is happening because people have gotten dependent on this program. It's not that they've been like some of us I saw in the chat earlier. They had a family member that got on it. They were on it for a year or less, and then they got off it as soon as they could, right? They didn't want to be dependent, right? Large scale welfare systems like this, they rely on constant funding. They have to constantly have injections of cash to operate. When the political gridlock hits, like we're having right now, of course, the weakest parts of the systems are the ones that are going to break first. Now, from a libertarian lens, of course, when the people count on the state for essentials, you create the opposite of freedom. You create dependence. And when the funding dries up, of course, the system falters. And the USDA wrote this, bottom line, the well has run dry, from the New York Post. So what are going to be the consequences, immediate and long term, right? Grocery stores are going to see fewer SNAP purchases, less revenue. That's going to actually put pressure on our local retailers. Food banks, many of them are already stretched thin. And the head of Weld Food Bank in Colorado said, we're doing a week's work in a day. And then some households are going to choose between food or rent. Children may see declines in school performance if nutrition drops, according to Time magazine. It's a moral hazard. If you expect benefits to continue regardless of performance or independence, what happens when the well runs dry? So, and of course, in the long term, the erosion of the economic buffer of households, increased social costs if hunger and illness and instability rise. So this is an ideological failure of the left. This is the problem that they have created, that they have made these promises to these people, and now those promises are about to be broken. They were made by people who didn't know what they were talking about, right? And of course, politically, both parties are pointing fingers at each other. The memo blames Senate Democrats, but the bigger issue here is the design of entitlement systems that assume endless funding and ignore completely the personal dimension here of work, character, responsibility, discipline, whatsoever, right? And it's not, the timing of this couldn't be worse because this isn't like we're in the middle of an economic boom right now. Inflation's still high. Grocery prices remain elevated. And now the social safety program is cracking at the edges. So this is all of the recipe that you need for a real national crisis. So here's what the audience needs to know. If you're on SNAP, understand benefits issued before November 1st are still going to work. After that, new allotments may not arrive until federal funding is restored. If you're a taxpayer or a business owner, the ripple effect of loss of SNAP spending is going to hit the local groceries, the local economies, and perhaps our community. So from a liberty viewpoint, this is a wake-up call, right? We've relied on these centralized systems for people to have basic necessity. And now this shows the fragility of this system. So how do we build a society that provides help without creating dependency? How do we that fosters freedom while ensuring dignity, right? Now, that's the real conversation behind the chaos. But even more, we need to take a look at this system, and this is the perfect time for us to look at how this system has been operating to date. In October of 2013, some of you might not remember, but there was this scam called the Great Walmart Unlimited Spree. This was a routine test by Xerox. They're an EBT tech contractor. They caused a glitch that erased spending limits on EBT cards for hours. In Louisiana, the word spread fast that this glitch was happening. And shoppers at Walmart suddenly had bottomless food stamp balances, and they cleared the shelves. It was a frenzy. They were buying as much as they could cram in their carts. Police had to be called in to maintain order as folks treated it like a supermarket sweepstakes. Walmart's corporate HQ told HQ employees, they told the employees, just let the good times roll. They figured that Uncle Sam would foot the bill. Shaky cell phone videos later showed abandoned carts piled high with groceries when the system came back online and the honest balances were restored. One local shopper called it plain theft. Indeed, legal stealing enabled by a government failure. You can't make this up. Look it up. 2013, the Great Walmart Unlimited Spree. And then in 2018 to 2019, there was the shutdown scare and snap by lawsuit. During the lengthy federal shutdown of the winter of 2018 to 19, SNAP was again upon. USDA scrambled to issue the February benefits before the funds ran dry, and they used an accounting gimmick to do this. But as the impasse was dragging on, the panic set in about the March benefits. A coalition of 25 states that was led by mostly Democratic governors sued the Trump administration to stop any suspension of food stamps during the shutdown. The states had to drag the feds into court and to keep the money flowing. And then eventually a deal was struck before calamity, right? But in DC's political theater, of course, the most vulnerable are getting a front row seat to the uncertainty, right? And then there was the state system meltdowns. This is not just at the federal level. So the states have messed up the SNAP distribution too. From time to time, a state will upgrade the portal system. And then, of course, what happens? Mass glitches that delay aid for thousands. An audit found that North Carolina's new system bungled SNAP so badly that $83 million in benefits were paid late and affected 290,000 or more payments. Other states have had similar fiascos like this. In the private sector, of course, if something like this happened, heads would roll, companies would go out of business, but in government, of course, whoops are bad. So each incident, of course, eroding more and more trust into these programs. I can't for the life of me understand why we continue to put ourselves through this. One common racket with the EBT cards is that crooked retailers will sometimes take advantage of this, and they will swipe EBT cards and then hand the customers cash, and they'll split the proceeds. Right? It's basically money laundering with food stamps. So if, for example, in Baltimore, there was a ring of small store owners that stole $16 million through these EBT swaps. In Cincinnati, a meat market's owners were convicted of $3.4 million in SNAP fraud. Just this year in Fresno, California, a bakery owner was charged with $5 million in EBT scams that they were running. So these are like mom and pop gangsters that treat SNAP like it's a personal ATM, right? They'll ring up fake food sales, they'll pocket the government dollars, and then they'll give the recipient maybe 50 cents on the dollar in cash, right? It's easy money until they get caught, of course, if they ever get caught. With 250,000 plus retailers that are on SNAP nationwide, the vast majority of them are honest, but it only takes a few bad apples to rake in fortunes before anybody even notices. So, and then of course, there's the street market for EBT, right? Why bother buying groceries? You know, you could sell your benefit card for cash on the street. There is a thriving underground black market where individual recipients, like these retailers, they'll sell their EBT card benefits to others, usually 50 to 60 cents on the dollar. And sometimes they'll even post about it on Facebook. They're so brazen. They'll post about it on Craigslist or on the Facebook marketplace, and they'll advertise $100 in food stamps for $60. And then others, of course, will go further. They'll traffic stolen EBT numbers and pins on the internet. It's a gigantic market, underground market in the United States. Now, this is technically a federal crime, but do you think that they enforce these rules or laws? They rarely, right? So, of course, the tax dollars that we spend that you think are funding hungry families, they're literally sold on the streets or on social media at a discount. It's a great deal for scammers. It's a raw deal for taxpayers. Now, some enterprising crooks will use SNAP to buy goods in bulk, and then they'll resell them for profit, which is a two-step con. Right? In New York, a government employee used, and her cohorts, used EBT cards to buy cases of energy drinks, then resold them to corner stores. And they netted about $1.8 million in illegal profit. It's huge, huge scam. In Brownsville, Texas, authorities busted a pair who used fraudulent SNAP cards to buy loads of groceries and smuggle them into Mexico to resell. They made $1.2 million on that scheme. So, you know, EBT, your tax dollars funding a very lucrative international export business. So, so SNAP distribution network, they're distributing, all right, just, you know, across the border. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Talking about the EBT scams and frauds here this morning. Don't forget to click the like button if you haven't already. If today is your first time watching the Wake Up America show, and I imagine that many of you are, then please click the follow button over on Rumble. We'd love to have you be a regular guest. If you click the follow button, you'll get a notification when the show goes live Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. And we'd love to have you be a regular guest. If you've made a Rumble Rant donation this morning, or if you went to the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com, speaking of grift, that's the real grift, the EBT scams. But if you've made a purchase at the shop this morning, that qualifies you to play our game if we unlock our bonus content. Essentially, every day we produce bonus content for this show. And if we raise $100 in Rumble Rants or in purchases at the Liberty Shop, then say somebody goes and buys a box of Founding Flavors coffee this morning, then that gets you an entry into the Great Grift Off, which is our game show that we unlock. So if we raise $100, on the show in Rumble Rants or in purchases at the shop, they both combine, then you get a notification. Then you will get an entry into our game show that will unlock if we raise $100. So if we hit $100, then it unlocks our mini documentary, and which is today's is really fantastic. You definitely want to see it. And then, of course, we unlock a game show where you can play at home on your mobile phone, on your devices, to compete to win for prizes. And usually it's trivia or some other kind of fun mini game that you can play and actually win real prizes at the end of the show. So all you have to do is make a Rumble Rant of any amount, or I recommend you visit the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com. Head on over to forlibertyshop.com. It's probably too late to get your Halloween stuff in time, but check out all of our amazing products. A lot of people are big fans of the Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt. We do make donations to Turning Point USA when we sell those. head on over to forlibertyshop.com. My recommendation is that you try one of our famous founding flavors coffee. People love Jeffersonian Java. That is the #1 seller in the shop. We do our spin to win there for a chance to get money off your order. But the Jeffersonian Java Light Roast is the #1 seller in the shop. And just go scroll down, guys, and look at the reviews on this one. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Look at that. Andy, Cecilia, Kyle, Ethan, Timothy Spitzer. He's decided to F around and find out. He says, I'm an everyday coffee drinker, and this coffee from AP for Liberty made me feel as American as rooftop Koreans with M14s defending their property in LA. I've been subscribing to the BRRC for a few years. I like the quality and price, but Austin's blends are a legit, enjoyable alternative, and the funds go straight into more entertainment and education for me anyway through his show. I recommend it on all fronts, and I'm planning on trying all the flavors. Do it! Jeffersonian Java at forlibertyshop.com. If you do make a purchase or a donation this morning, just FYI, see that phone number underneath this my image right there? Send us a text and say, let's play, and we'll send you the room code at the end of the show today at 9 a.m. so that you can play the little fun mini game and potentially win some prizes from the shop. What do you say? We got some new products coming today. Pretty exciting. Ta-da, you say goodbye. I say hello, hello, hello.
In a world where every meal matters,
I'm gonna feed my 6 kids.
one mother is willing to fight for a card that changes everything.
Do y'all take EBT?
No, ma'am.
Larissa's EBT this holiday.
In a world where every meal matters,
I'm gonna feed my 6 kids.
one mother is willing to fight for a card that changes everything.
Do y'all take EBT?
No, ma'am.
Larissa's EBT.
Nicely done. Thank you, Sora, for all those entertaining EBT videos. So some enterprising crooks will use Snap to buy goods in bulk. Then they resell them for profit, millions of dollars in fraud. And then, of course, there's the pickpocketing that goes on, the scammers and phishers. So as the program had moved from paper coupons to electronic cards, a new class of thieves got involved. Hackers, tech-savvy fraudsters across the country. Criminals have been planting card skimmer devices on store checkout machines to steal EBT cards and PIN codes because, believe it or not, in 2025, Snap and EB cards still have no security chip. Right? They're mag stripe only, which makes them an easy target. But once the crooks have cloned a card, they can drain its balance faster than you could say government incompetence. So the reports of Snap recipients finding their accounts mysteriously empty have surged. Phishing scams for these things are on the rise too. Scammers posing as welfare officials send text to people saying things like, your benefits need renewal, send your card number and your PIN, and gullible folks, of course, comply, only to have their accounts looted. So in short, identity thieves have discovered these vulnerabilities of the EBT system, and then Uncle Sam, of course, rolls out the red carpet by sticking with outdated card tech. And the result is that millions in benefits have been stolen electronically from the folks that this program is supposed to help, right? And then, of course, you have people like this.
Hi, you guys. I'm out of the store. So they wanted $7 for this. Mind you, I don't have food stamps anymore. They cut me off. So I only had $22 left in food stamps. So this is what I stole. Okay, they wanted $9 for this. I said, oh, I don't got $9. Then they wanted $2 for this. They wanted, sorry, it's all fucked up because it's been in my purse. $7 for this. I'm making some stuffed salmon today. These are needed. I'm not paying $7 for that. Okay, let me show you the most important thing to me. Short ribs. Take off the label so that you don't beep. Get your fucking meat. How many do you think that I got? How many short ribs is that? And can I be real? More of y'all bitch ass niggas should have started taking shit from the motherfucking corporations a long time ago. Y'all just didn't have that shit in your motherfucking bones. Get out there and get in the motherfucking field like I told you. Everything out here is yours. Whether or not you take it, they call that shit free will. I call that shit eminent domain. You know what I'm saying? One thing I learned from the white men.
She's got a good point. She's got a good point there.
Take it. I don't give a fuck who's already sitting there. I don't give a fuck if your land was already established. Bitch, it's mine now, and I want it. That is what we should be preaching in the land to the fucking masses. Act more like a white man. Take it for yourself, bitch, and you won't be worried about who don't got it.
Okay, I would have been mad, but she used the words eminent domain and theft, so damn it. She's got a point. Fraudsters also exploit Snap's complexity to sign up people or ghosts, dead people, who aren't eligible. Some are using stolen identities to file multiple applications across different counties or even multiple states. In one Florida case, a couple used stolen IDs from nearly 700 people to apply for Snap. And amazingly, the system, they approved 100 of those fake applications, netting them close to $200,000 in benefits before they got caught. And of course, other people just simply lie on the applications. They hide their income. They claim non-existent dependents to qualify when they shouldn't. And then there's the multi-state gamers who collect benefits in, say, New York and New Jersey simultaneously. But given this program's sprawl, it's usually a long time before state agencies cross-check and bust these folks. Snap is basically on the honor system, and there will always be a way for the dishonorable to cash in.
Get a job. Work 40 hours a week, 9 to 5.
I don't want to.
There it is. Government, Kansas, Missouri, take away her food stamps right now. Did you just hear that? Take them away. I'm not even kidding.
I will
You
say,
don't want to? F you. That
no,
is not
I really
a choice.
Don't want to.
Huh?
I don't want to.
Then that is not fair. That is not a choice. Subsidies should be there and even more for those who cannot.
So my sister made a video about how my whole entire family gets EBT. And everyone is calling us bums because we don't work and we live off the government. And we are proud of that. Growing up, this is what we were taught. We were taught to not have to work. We were taught to live off the government because it is there for us to use. So living off of EBT is literally a tradition in our family.
No, these motherfuckers have lost their goddamn mind. The amount of people are struggling right now. Fucking inflation right now. Groceries high as a motherfucking kite right now. People got to pinch pennies and all. People that actually get their ass up and go to work got to pinch pennies and eat bologna and eat jelly sandwiches and eat whatever the hell they got to do. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't get the luxury to get on government assistance. If you got the nerve, you got these motherfuckers out here that's spoiled ass. How you a spoiled bitch on Snap? How you a spoiled bitch on Snap? How that work?
Go get a job. Work 40 hours a week, 9 to 5.
I don't want to.
There it is. There it is. There was a jaw-dropping case from New York just this year. Alasa Davis, a USDA employee in the division responsible for catching SNAP fraud, was indicted for allegedly helping run one of the largest food stamp frauds in history. So the fox guarding the hen house, not only did she let the foxes in, she sold them the keys to the coop. According to federal prosecutors, Davis sold confidential EBT authorization codes to a network of scammers, enabling over $36 million in fraudulent SNAP transactions at ineligible stores. So her co-conspirators, led by a ringleader named Michael Kehoe, not the governor of Missouri, different Michael Kehoe, installed 160 rogue EBT card terminals in bodegas, smoke shops, and then they rang up more than $30 million in fake food purchases. Davis literally photographed lists of secret store IDs and gave them to the crooks in exchange for bribes, disguised as birthday gifts or flowers. And this went on for years. They siphoned tens of millions of dollars that was supposed to go to hungry families. This is what the Democrats are, of course, pointing at. Say, you're trying to starve hungry families. USDA employee Alasa Davis sold confidential government information to the criminals that she was supposed to catch, according to the U.S. attorney on this case. So that's like a cop selling burglars the keys to the bank vaults, right? She now faces an array of federal charges, and we'll see if justice actually catches up. But that just shows how the corruption supercharges welfare fraud to industrial levels, right? And she's not the only one who's done something like this. There's another case down in North Carolina, a social services caseworker named Lakeisha McDougal. She pulled a smaller scale insider scam. Over several years, McDougal quietly diverted food stamp benefits to herself, altering client records in the state computer, ordering EBT cards in their names sent to her address, and then even added fake dependents to jack up the monthly amounts. She then sold those EBT cards or used them for her own shopping sprees, but by the time that she was caught, she had pocketed only $234,000 in SNAP funds. Only $234,000 compared to our Loss of David case, where it was $36 million. This other case, this was in North Carolina. So listen, when the system sets up the expectation that the government is always going to play, it erodes any principle of self-sufficiency. You've seen how these people are, how they act, right? They're entitled. They believe that it is owed to them. The society owes these things to them just for the virtue of them existing on this existing in this. And this is not to take anything away from people who truly need assistance, right? People who really want to work hard and just are down on their luck for whatever reason, right? I don't want to lump them in with the whole same broad category en masse of the welfare recipients of people who absolutely should not be on this. I don't believe that these programs should exist, but I do have empathy for my fellow Americans who are struggling. And it's hard out there for a pimp. It's hard to make a living, as we all know. And groceries are expensive. Right? But, food aid in general is not bad. It's not bad when you have food banks, when people are voluntarily giving. But the systems, the amount of private charity that Americans give dwarfs even with all the fraud. The private charity it's like 10x the amount of money is spent every year in this country to feed people who can't afford to feed themselves. So what would happen if SNAP went away, right? All of a sudden, all you would need is if you stop taxing us for it, then all of that generosity could be increased. All you'd have to do is increase it just by the amount that the EBT benefits are. But we already do 10 times as much in private charity. We can fill in those gaps. We can. So food aid itself is not a bad thing. We should help people who are needy if they're down on their luck. But it should be voluntary. It should be something that we do as private individual citizens in this country. We should help each other. So here's what to watch for in the coming weeks. Will Congress pass a funding measure just for SNAP? Some senators are pushing special bills to try and pass during the government shutdown to get this going. Time is running out, though, just days away. Some states are declaring emergencies like Virginia, or they're warning recipients directly. And then what you should keep an eye on is what's going to happen to the food banks on this. Are they going to collapse under the load? Will local retailers see revenue drops from their stores that are going to lead to potential layoffs or closures of stores? This will ripple out and affect our economy. Right? And then the question is, will this moment shift public opinion on welfare policy? Is it going to mean either stricter requirements or more likely, and I don't want to upset you guys any more than possible, but more than likely, something like this is probably going to push us towards a universal basic income, right? So is the narrative going to shift towards no free lunch to earn lunch? I highly doubt it. More people are probably going to demand something like UBI. What are your thoughts on that? We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. If you want to send us a text, you can at 573-319-1586. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this story or more. If you want to contact the show, if you want to support the Wake Up America show, drop a Rumble rant, a donation of any amount. All is voluntary here. And it does go to helping us produce more content for the For Liberty Network, but it also goes to feed a cute little redheaded baby. So we We believe in voluntary assistance here. Don't forget, guys, that if you do make a donation to the Wake Up America show this morning, then that qualifies you to play our Liberty Loot Live game show at the end of the show where you can win real prizes. But we have to raise $100 to unlock that bonus content as well as our Lego mini documentary. Looks like we've raised about $16 so far towards that goal. That's modest, but admirable, and we're grateful for it. Keep them coming. Keep those Rumble Rant donations coming, or visit the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com. Buy yourself a box of delicious Founding Flavors coffee while you're there. The number one flavor, in my opinion, everybody has something that they like that's a little different. But my favorite is the Thomas's Painkiller. It's a Colombian single origin roast. Absolutely delicious. At forlibertyshop.com, the Founding Flavors coffee line is extremely popular. Thomas's Painkiller is my favorite. People love that, but the number one seller in the shop is the Jeffersonian Java. So my recommendation is when we go to the break with Judge to bring Judge Napolitano on the show, that you guys head over to the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com and make some purchases there. And once we hit $100 raised in bonus content, you'll unlock the mini documentary instead of watching commercials, because I have to go to a commercial break to get Judge Napolitano on the show. So make those donations, those Rumble Rants. They're all voluntary. Or go to thegriftshop.com and buy some Founding Flavors coffee and share it with some friends. So this is where we stand. So the food aid system is flickering. The dependency model that we've set up in this country is exposed. And of course, the political machinery is scrambling. So, but there's a second story here, right? Not of collapse, but of cooperation, of discipline and strength. So we're going to talk to Judge Napolitano at 8 a.m. Central about whether or not New York City has the strength to save itself from the communist Zoran Mamdani. Judge Napolitano, of course, lives just outside New York City, but he works in New York City. He told me he's got an apartment back inside the city. I remember he was out in New Jersey for a little while, but he's moved back into New York City. I wonder who he's voting for. He has been in New York City politics for decades now. Of course, he was a Superior Court justice in New Jersey, and he was on Fox News for a long time, where he and I worked together. Now he's over at Newsmax, and we're going to talk this morning about the upcoming election between Curtis Sliwa, Zoran Mamdani, and Andrew Cuomo in New York City. We'll talk to him about that, as well as his recent op-ed at judgenap.com. It's Judge Andrew Napolitano. Don't go away. Keep unlocking that bonus content, guys. Keep those happy little pot leaves coming, and maybe some other green as well. Drop some Rumble Rants. Remember, all you need is $1 donated to help us unlock the bonus content and get you an entry into the Liberty Loot Live game show at the end of the show today. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show. Judge Napolitano coming back on the other side of the jump.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back, with sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant, it's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
When the founding fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com. Good morning, rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and that's on the For Liberty Network. And we've got 4 shows on the For Liberty Network, so make sure you check those out at forlibertynetwork.com. Ahead, we're going to welcome our next guest, the Honorable Judge Andrew Napolitano, to weigh in on this critical story for liberty-minded Americans. This is the mayoral race in New York City. Zoran Mandani is the Democratic nominee. He's leading by double digits in the polls despite his openly socialist platform. He's promising rent freezes, free buses, city-owned grocery stores, tax hikes on high earners, and major shifts in education policies. One recent wrinkle, a cease and desist from the New York Knicks after his campaign used a variant of the team's logo in an ad. So The question we're asking is that if New York's next mayor advances his agenda, what does it signal for urban America, for libertarians like ourselves, and for the balance between government power and individual freedom? All rise. The Honorable Judge Andrew Napolitano, host of the Judging Freedom podcast, viewed by millions all over the world, and his weekly column, of course, at judgenap.com. Good morning, Judge. Thank you very much for joining us live. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Austin. A pleasure to be with you. I mean, this Mamdani frenzy is unlike anything I've ever seen. This is a very young man. He's 33 years old, an ardent socialist who just sort of came out of nowhere using social media and massive amounts of momentum and enthusiasm from young people. As you say, he's still leading by double digits in every single poll. It's an odd race because it's a three-way race since he has the Democratic nomination. He defeated the former governor, Andrew Cuomo, a longtime friend of mine. I was good friends with his father, also the governor of New York, and friends with his brother, Chris, with whom I worked at Fox in my earliest days. Chris then was at CNN and is now at News Nation. But Andrew was soundly defeated by Mr. Mamdani in the primary. So now you have Mamdani, the Democrat, Andrew, the independent, and Curtis Sliwa, the notorious, really a hell of a nice guy, but a character, founder of the Guardian Angels as the Republican. So it's a three-way race. Mamdani is polling around 48%, Cuomo around 34%, and Sliwa around 15%. Right now on Wednesday morning, where half the city has voted already, because we have early voting here. We have it in New Jersey as well. I voted in New Jersey on Sunday. Where half the city has voted already, it looks like a Mamdani rout. Now, what will the effect be? I think the Republicans will have a field day if they can paint Mamdani as the up-and-coming face of the Democratic Party. The property values in the city will go down. Businesses will flee across the river to Jersey City, New Jersey. On the other hand, Mamdani may change. He may govern from the middle. He has already said he will keep the police commissioner, who's a centrist politically, a very, very wealthy person. She comes from a wealthy family, well-liked by the law enforcement and judicial community, just straight down the line. I was a little skeptical of her at first, but she's proven her bona fides to me. So he's indicated that the nonsense about defund the police was just hyperbole that he articulated when he was a young man. He didn't mean it then. He doesn't mean it now. He certainly doesn't mean it if he's going to be the mayor. That's about the best analysis I can give you. Can Cuomo pull a rabbit out of the hat? It would be nice if he could. You know, as Democrats go, he's a good government, moderate Democrat. I know he has tremendous baggage from COVID and from personal allegations against him, but he understands the levers of government probably better than anybody.
Judge, New York City has changed so much since the 1980s. When I was a child, New York City was populated by people they called the yuppies, the young urban professionals. But the yuppies were decidedly right-wing. They were decidedly Reagan-esque. Wall Street was a Republican. Now, whenever you see young urban professionals in New York City, they're decidedly socialist. They're decidedly voting for Zoran Mamdani. What has changed so much in the last 40 years that New York City has gone from Reagan-esque Wall Street, right-wing Republican New Yorkers to now socialists, communists? What has caused this sea change in New York City?
You know, I wish I could give you an answer to that. I know there was a tremendous reaction to President Trump, but that's obviously a very, very, very recent vintage. I mean, that is just in the past 8 months. You're talking about a sea change in people's behavior that has taken a generation or two to happen, and I can't put my finger on it. I just don't understand the yuppies to whom you're referring are no longer Y and yuppie. They're no longer young. They're now in their 40s and 50s if they were yuppies in the 80s. But it is true that a lot of young urban professionals, well educated, whether it's Wall Street, whether it's the media, whether it's other businesses, are either liberal Democrats or hard left Democrats, like this fellow Zoran Mamdani. I don't know what has caused it. I do know there is a tremendous animosity towards Trump in the city, overwhelming animosity, even on the part of Republicans. But again, that's of recent vintage. You're talking about something that happened in the past 30 years, and this has only happened in the past 8 months.
Judge, it's an interesting time in American politics. I mean, when you compare Donald Trump to Ronald Reagan, I was doing an analysis. I haven't been able to complete it yet, so I can't say that my conclusions are correct. But I was looking at the amount of libertarian things that Republican presidents have done, starting with Ronald Reagan, going through George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, to Donald Trump today, and comparing them for their libertarian bona fides. And at least from my preliminary results, it seems as if Donald Trump is probably more libertarian than even Ronald Reagan was, in terms of, not in rhetoric, but in terms of actual policies, deregulation, tax cuts, building up the military, but not in the same way that Ronald Reagan did. He had, of course, massive spending. Of course, he was fighting the Soviet Union at this time. But it strikes me as odd that they hate him so much, and yet he's probably, whether we disagree with him on Venezuelan drug boats exploding or the bombing of Iran, foreign policy questions here or there, Trump is probably the most libertarian president, at least of my lifetime. Do you think that my suppositions are going to be proven correct here? And if so, is that maybe why the left really hates him so much? Do they hate him more for the deregulations and the tax cuts and his capitalistic side than for the other things, the big government things that the Democrats would be doing if they were in office anyway? Because they would, Judge.
I don't know what the basis for the hatred is, but it's probably his moral relativism, that he thinks he can kill people, that he thinks he can start wars, he thinks he can send ice to repel into people's kitchen windows as if we were attacking a foreign country. His abandonment of the Constitution, his disregard for moral principles, that's what upsets me. So I don't know if that's what upsets these young people. If Trump manifests any libertarian tendencies, it's probably in the areas of liberating the free market. But then again, he's imposing tariffs. He's punishing Canada because they ran one of the best speeches that Reagan ever made against tariffs and in favor of the free market. So Trump really has no set core of beliefs except what pleases him at the moment, and he is the ultimate moral relativist, which is extremely dangerous and will have very, very dangerous consequences.
It's wild, though.
I'm waiting for somebody in a public courtroom to say, geez, the president can kill whoever he wants. Why can't I?
Yeah, I'm sure that the government, of course, is not going to accept that excuse, because there's one set of standards for the ruling class in this country, Judge, as you and I well know, and another set of standards for the rest of us. The government, of course.
Sadly true.
Yeah. Judge, talk to us about the Curtis Sliwa impact in this race, because he's been a staple since the 1980s. He's been around since the 1970s, patrolling the subways. He's the duly nominated Republican candidate in New York City. Obviously, a Republican can't win. But if he were out of the race, they say that Cuomo might actually have a chance. Do you think that Sliwa is a spoiler? Does he deserve his spot? Do you see him as a gadfly? Do you like him, admire him? Thoughts on Sliwa?
Oh, I have worked with him for many years at WABC Radio, which is right across the street from where I am now and where I worked before I was at Newsmax. I like him very much. He is a Reagan Republican in a sea of liberal Democrats. I know he's a gadfly. I know he's a character. The press follows him around because, like Trump, he always has a funny, unadulterated, unfiltered one-liner. I believe he is a serious candidate. The police love him. I don't think he can win, but he is the leader of the Republican Party in this city. The city consists of 5 boroughs. For those unfamiliar with it, sort of a sub-city. They are not independent municipal entities, but they are independent geographic entities. And one of them, Staten Island, which is actually an island, geologically part of New Jersey, but part of New York City because of history, that will go Republican. Half of Brooklyn, the Italian-American part, will go Republican. A chunk of Queens, the Irish part, will go Republican. Everything else will go majority Mamdani and secondarily to Cuomo. The reason I give you this Republican area is he has a legitimate constituency, and it probably consists of more than 1 million human beings. And he's not going to give that up. He is their elected leader. He's the head of the Republican Party. I know he's a hothead. He actually quit his job at WABC on air in the presence of the owner, John Catsimatidis, the supermarket magnate, because Catsimatidis and one of the anchors, Sid Rosenberg, were trying to taunt him and torment him on air into withdrawing from the race. And he said, that's it. I'm quitting the interview and I'm never coming back to WABC. Now, of course, that got him tremendous publicity. It may have been a stunt. I don't know. He's a bit of a hothead, so maybe he lost his cool. I admire him because he sticks to basic Ronald Reagan-esque principles. People want safety. They want civil liberties. They want a system that works. They don't want taxes that are through the roof. They want the streets clean. They want the streets safe. They want to be left alone. They don't want to engage in social experiments. Look, in 1943, the city council enacted a temporary government program called rent control. We are now 85 years off of that, and we still have rent control. And the purpose of rent control, says it right in the statute, is to help widows and orphans whose fathers and husbands are fighting in or have been killed in the war. The war is World War II. We still have rent control. Landlords can't make enough money to maintain their buildings. Now, not all buildings are subject to rent control, but the lower middle class ones are. Under Curtis Sliwa, you might actually see that go away. Under Mamdani, you'll see it extended.
Judge, your fellow paisans in Staten Island, the Italians, they don't like socialism. Why not?
Who wants a government that's going to steal their liberty and their property? And by definition, of course, that's what socialism is. I mean, there still is a federal court system here. There still is a constitution. So he's limited in what he can do. But the mayor of New York is vis-a-vis New York City, a very powerful mayor. Not all big city mayors have the authority that the mayor of New York does. For example, the mayor of Los Angeles can't appoint anybody he wants as police commissioner. But the mayor of New York can appoint judges, commissioners, everybody in the city governments. It's extraordinarily powerful mayor system. And if you think the city council is going to be a check on Mamdani, city council makes Mamdani seem like Reagan. I mean, you have some real lefty loonies. They're actually kind of comical to listen to, but dangerous because they wield the levers of power in the city council.
Judge, I don't know how much more time I have with you. I want to talk about your column if you have time. Do you have a few more minutes?
I got about 4 minutes or so.
Okay, real quick, Judge, I'd love to hear you talk about your column. This is a chilling case of a retired cop sitting in a Tennessee jail for quoting Donald Trump. I thought it sounded like satire. So talk to us about this case where speech itself is being treated like a crime in small town America.
So this in 2024, there have been so many of these things. Sadly, who can keep track of them? Some maniac attacked a school in Perry County, Iowa, and people were killed. And there was a outrage, of course, and then there was the call to crack down on gun rights. Candidate Donald Trump said, it's time to get over this, meaning turn the page. All right, people died. We mourn their death. The remedy is not fewer guns. The remedy is more guns. I'm paraphrasing now, but the key phrase is time to get over it. January 2024. Charlie, now fast forward 18 months. Charlie Kirk is murdered. We all saw it. It was horrible. And then there's this outpouring of pro-Kirk and anti-Kirk postings and comments. And some people who posted anti-Kirk comments lost their jobs because their employers honestly felt that the employer's work product was going to be impaired. Employers can do that because the First Amendment only insulates you from the government. This retired police officer posted hundreds of anti-Kirk comments and attacked people who were mourning Kirk's death. And this induced a response. And to one of these responses, he responded by quoting Trump in the Perry County, Iowa case by saying it's time to get over it. However, he said it in Perry County, Tennessee, and the sheriff of Perry County, Tennessee said, this guy's talking about school shooting. He's quoting Trump on school shooting. This is a threat to blow up the high school in Perry County, Tennessee. We're going to go and arrest him, ex-cop or not. Guy gets arrested, doesn't even understand what he's being arrested for. The judge, a popularly elected judge, imposes bail of $2 million. His lawyers ask for a bail reduction. She postpones their request for 2 months until December. So now you have a retired police officer with an impeccable record, with no record of violence, in jail on a bail that is excessive, if ever I've heard it, and the Eighth Amendment prohibits excessive bail. And he's charged with a crime for which there is no evidence, for which there was no investigation, about which there was no warning, over which there was no interrogation of him or his wife, all because of his exercise of free speech. Why do I write about this? I write about government interfering with free speech. All of your friends and mine who say states' rights, states' rights, states' rights, the states can be monsters as well. All of government consists in the negation of liberty, and this is an example of it.
That's that libertarian judge that got me from shouting on the subway and reading Ron Paul books like a crazy person on the street into the 40th floor of Fox News in New York City. Judge Andrew Napolitano, who do you have coming up on your excellent show, Judging Freedom, where people can download this podcast on any of their mobile devices?
So I have Anya Parampil, who's also known as Mrs. Max Blumenthal, who's an expert on Venezuela. I have Phil Giraldi, ex-CIA, also on what the CIA is doing in Venezuela. And I have the great Scott Ritter. He's been saying this for a while, but now he says he means it, and he's going to demonstrate why Ukraine is on its last leg.
Judge Andrew Napolitano, host of the Judging Freedom podcast, joins us every Wednesday. My intellectual mentor, Senior Judge Andrew Napolitano. Thank you, Judge. We'll talk to you next week.
All the best, Austin. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Part of what we're going to have to do is to start experimenting with new forms of journalism and how do we use social media in ways that reaffirm facts, separate facts from opinion. We want diversity of opinion. We don't want diversity of facts. That, I think, is one of the big tasks of social media. By the way, it will require some government, I believe, some government regulatory constraints around some of these business models in a way that's consistent with the First Amendment, but that also says, look, there is a difference between these platforms letting all voices be heard versus a business model that elevates the most hateful voices or the most polarizing voices or the most dangerous in the sense of inciting violence voices. And that I think is going to be a big challenge for all of us that we're going to have to undertake. Part of what we're going to have to do is
Thank you. Exactly. I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying the show today. I know that you all have been extremely financially generous in the past, so I'm hoping that you will be so today. If we hit $100 today, we're going to unlock our bonus content, which is a fantastic mini documentary today that you guys do not want to miss. It's made out of Lego figures, and I know that you guys love that. But right now, we're only at $16 raised of the bonus content. And I'm hoping that we'll hit $100 by the end of the show, but we've only got 40 more minutes. So I'm a little nervous. Usually we hit it every day. I think we can today. But if we hit $100 raised, then that means that we will be able to, number one, watch the Lego mini documentary. And two, we will be able to play Liberty Loot Live, the Great Grift Off, where you guys can win real prizes. So I would be remiss if I did not mention all of the incredible products that we have at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. The Javier Milei collection is so hot right now. Please to visit our Javier Milei collection. And if somebody goes and buys a pair of sneakers, then we've almost got the whole bonus content unlocked. There you go. Javier Milei's Afuera hoodie now available at forlibertyshop.com. Celebrate the wins of the best libertarian in all of history and his incredible victories over La Casta in Argentina. We've got the Viva la Libertad Carajo Javier Milei white bomber tribute jacket. Javier Milei Pepe Afuera mugs. And for the lovely Liberty lady in your life, a Viva la Libertad Carajo horizontal bar necklace. Less marks, more Milei. Or maybe a Javier Milei Afuera trucker hat, if that's your thing, at forlibertyshop.com. The Javier Milei Afuera backpack, big in Japan. They love it there. We got Japanese girls, cute little Japanese girls running around with Afuera backpacks. I'm not joking. Ask Steffi. We posted the pictures that they've been posting. A lot of our Javier Milei merchandise is big in Japan. If it's big in Japan, then usually the United States follows after. They are trendsetters. But in terms of bomber jackets, I'm a big fan of this yellow Javier Milei. That's his official logo there for the Libertad Avanza. At forlibertyshop.com, you can get the Javier Milei Lion of Argentina bomber jacket. If you do the spin to win on the shop, you can even get a discount as much as 15% off or 10% off your Javier Milei Lion of Argentina bomber jacket. Check out the shoes, check out the products. My next guest is going to be Hannah Goodman. So I just saw her a couple of weeks ago. I was in Colorado giving a speech to the Libertarian Colorado, and she says that she credits me with being the reason why she has switched from the Democratic Party from the Libertarian Party to the Democratic Party. We're going to go to a brief commercial break. When we get back, Hannah Goodman will join us live to talk about her transition from Libertarian to Democrat and all that it means. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show, and you're watching that on, what is it? Oh, it's the For Liberty Network. Yeah, that guy. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show.
Equal. Some just sit there. Others start conversations. The ones at forlibertyshop.com, they raise eyebrows, win arguments, and occasionally get you banned from PTA meetings. Whether you're repping freedom, mocking tyrants, or just making the left squirm, we've got the gear that says what you're thinking. Loud, proud, unapologetic. Grab yours today at forlibertyshop.com because your shirt should speak louder than your neighbor's bumper sticker. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. You didn't have to wait for long. Glad to see hundreds of people joining us live on the Wake Up America show. I think you guys were all excited to see my next guest. I'm very excited to introduce former chair of the LP of Colorado. She left the LP to join the Democrats in a bid to restore what she's calling the Truman era version of Democrats. We're going to talk about what her switch says about the state of libertarianism, big tent politics, and how you get inside the system to change it. Joining us now, Hannah Goodman, former chair of the LP of Colorado, just this month changed her registration, officially joined the Democratic Party. After her leadership in third-party politics, she's now pivoting into a major party to reclaim what she says is the Democrats' lost middle ground. Good morning, Hannah, and welcome to the show. Nice to see you again.
Yes, nice to see you. It was great to see you here in Colorado in person.
It was, Hannah, and as much as I love to pat myself on the back around here, I think I'll let you do it for me. You actually posted that it was my speech in Colorado that inspired you to do this. I did not expect it to be the Democrats, but talk to us a little bit about what's been going on in the last couple of weeks since we met.
Yes, so actually one of the reporters who interviewed me goes, I wonder if he was sure that he was going to inspire you that direction. I'm like, probably not. Probably not. But I really enjoyed the Libertarian Manifesto that you put out. And then having it paired with your speech, you know, I'm thinking next steps, which I would have already been thinking next steps. I had been thinking next steps because I wasn't stepping back into chair. So I'm like, where do I go from here? What do we do? How do I continue to make a difference? Because I, as chair of the Libertarian Party of Colorado, made a big splash with the Libertarian Party in Colorado when I made a, quote, deal with the GOP.
Recording in progress.
We had the Liberty Pledge come out and we swung 3 House district seats and 1 congressional seat. We got Congressman Gabe Evans elected through that. So these are the style of politics. I don't want to do inter-party politics. I hate it. So I want to get out. I want to really politic. And when I'm sitting there, I'm listening and you're like, where's the power? Where can you make a difference? Where can you make the change? I'm very familiar with the political landscape of Colorado because I've been working at, you know, high levels with it for the past 4 years. I could have pivoted into the GOP. In fact, that's what everyone was expecting. The Colorado GOP, you know, I have a lot of great connections there. I've done a lot of really good work. They've given me a huge chance and opportunity. So I don't want to discount them when I say they're a hot mess. They're as equal to the Libertarian Party with the factionalism, with the lawsuits, you know. God, what am I in, like my 6th lawsuit going on, wrapping up as chair. So, you know, I'm seeing all of these things and I'm like, I live in a deep red pocket in this very blue state. What can I do locally? Not a whole lot. My leadership's locked down. What am I going to be, a precinct captain? They're already taken. Like, what am I going to do? Run for House District against the already sitting Republican in office? I guess. But I haven't built that bench. Maybe 2028, though, right? So I'm sitting there thinking as you're giving this speech, and my mind, I'm super creative and I think out of the box. And I'm like, how can I hit these targets? What's the most effective strategy here? And honestly, I thought, we're fighting progressivism. That's essentially what the GOP is doing. Meanwhile, they're killing themselves doing that. So what if I just join the Democratic Party and push from inside? Because I was raised by old school Democrats, and we're not really far off, you know. There's some things libertarians disagree with both Republicans and old school Democrats, and even with progressives, but I just got this idea and this feeling I should join that party and I should be the pushback, because we had that walkaway movement and all of those old school middle ground Democrats, a lot of them walked away in droves, which essentially handed that party to these hardcore progressives. So there's no opposition. They're just running roughshod all over everyone. Okay, well, let me join you and you get to run roughshod over me. But at some point, I'm going to have an idea that sticks and catches. And I'm really excited for that moment. And I did not anticipate that blowback. I had the governor welcoming me to the party. I had it in my DMs.
Yeah, Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, publicly endorsed your party switch and welcomed you to the Democratic Party.
Yes, he did. And it's interesting because he aligns as a capitalist and not a progressive. Is he a libertarian? No, I've been very vocal about that. Is he a capitalist? In a way, probably. Not an Ayn Rand way. No. But we got to have some middle ground. We got to have some common ground. Is there enough there for me to work with? I don't know. Is it worth a shot? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, it is. So I'm going to take that shot. You miss every shot you don't take. So, you know, and I had the chair of the Democratic Party of Colorado reach out to me via DM. I've been contacted by the executive director of the party. We sit down at the end of November. I'm plugging into a campaign for Congressional District 4, my district. I actually ran against her before, both in the special election and the November election, last election. Her name's Trish Calvaries. So she's not as progressive as most Democrats. I know it's in this hyper-partisan political world, you're either a super progressive or you're super right-wing Trumper. You can never be anything else, right? So she's not that progressive. In fact, she told me she's anti-communist, being that she's Polish and Italian background. So that's interesting. I actually, working with her already, she retweeted Thomas Massey, and she's really interested in country of origin labeling for the beef industry and actually all meat. So who would have thought we would have a congressional candidate who won 45% of the vote of Congressional District 4 against Lauren Boebert, retweeting Thomas Massey within 48 hours?
So this is fascinating stuff, Hannah, and a shocking move that I did not see coming, and I'm sure many others didn't as well. But what message would you send to libertarians who view this move as a betrayal of small government principles? Or is it just a signal that third-party politics itself isn't viable, Hannah? What would you say to libertarians who are confused, maybe not angry, but just confused about what your move here?
You know, third-party politics is important. Specifically in a state like Colorado, we control the swing vote. That's a lot of power, right? So it can be a very good stepping stone into really getting into the two-party system and pushing your ideas out there into a larger audience. I never believe in being the big fish in a small pond. I always want to be the small fish. Why? Because there's room to grow. So, you know, Democrats haven't always been progressive. The Democrats I was raised by hated the nanny state. They wanted lower taxes. They wanted small businesses to thrive. They want small farms to thrive. Are they anarchists? No. Expecting them to be something they're not is not going to happen. But can you help shape ideology with your perspective? Absolutely. If you do the work to get to that level, you can absolutely come in and influence people's ideology. My goal is to take that radical leftism out of the Democratic Party and go back to those old school Dems we all would cut our left arms off to go back to bipartisan politics and politic with.
Wow.
You know, that really is really what I'm going for here.
Yeah.
I want to end progressivism. I want to bring us back to common sense. Am I, going to be an anarchist in the Democratic Party? No, not really. I'm not essentially an anarchist anyway. I'm Ayn Randian.
Okay, so I mean, that sounds all fantastic to me. I love it. It sounds like you really took a lot of the things I said in my manifesto to heart about taking power. So very wise, very shrewd move, Anna. But I can't imagine that this anti-progressive Ayn Randian talk is going to fly with all Democrats. So you must have gotten at least some pushback from some Democrats, because the party has mostly been taken over by progressives, socialists, and communists who hate Donald Trump and hate because they think that he's basically like Ayn Rand. Have you gotten any pushback from Democrats at all on this?
The only one that I've been able to really see is from a guy called Alan Franklin. I believe he's involved with Colorado polls. I want to say he's in the Bell Policy Center, but I don't know that for sure. He's kind of trolly. We've trolled each other back and forth over the years. Really doesn't like me. He told me he's got a pledge for me to sign. But the last time I checked, the Democratic Party is a big tent, organization. So are we going to start doing purity tests in the Democratic Party? I have not received a ton of pushback, but honestly, I still think that they are all shocked and they're very confused. What is she doing? What is going on here? And I don't think anyone's ever talked about in the last 20 years in the Democratic Party. Let's go back to Truman style, Minnesota Dem farm labor politics. But if they want rural Colorado, and they swear to God they do, well, progressivism doesn't fly out here, which is why Trish Calvary's got 45% of the vote, and Ike, the guy before her for several ballots, only got like 25% of the vote. There's a reason why you have to message to rural Colorado the way that you do. Trish cut the progressive crap, made a huge dent into CD4, which is the safest red district in Colorado, opening it up to a swing vote. So, nobody's talked about these ideas, but they've continually lost ground in rural Colorado. Meanwhile, they've said, we're coming for rural Colorado. Here I am dangling it. Okay, if you want it, you're going to have to get right. You're going to have to come to me. I don't have to come to you. You have to come to me if you want the votes out here. I'm very well connected. I'm very well known. I'm related to a lot of people as a sixth generation Coloradan. If you want these votes out here, you're going to have to work for me, through me, to come get it.
Now, Hannah, I don't have beef with you, but I do have a bone to pick on one of the things that you posted yesterday. And this is an area that we might find a little disagreement here, and I'd love to go back and forth with you on it in good-natured conversation. When you said, while I love Jay Millet, I do not support flooding the U.S. with Argentinian beef, nor do I support any money going there outside of people choosing to spend their own money there. Don't send my tax dollars overseas for any reasons. Okay, so there's a couple of issues there. One is the question of the Argentine beef, and then the other one is the currency swap. We can talk about that in a moment, but I want to focus on the concept of flooding the U.S. with Argentinian beef. Are you against free trade with Argentina? Because that is a very libertarian principle, is the concept that I should be able to buy food from wherever I like, whether it's Missouri or Colorado farmers or from Argentine farmers. What's your take there?
I would agree with you to some extent. However, we don't have country of label origin on our beef. So it makes it really difficult for consumers to choose. Maybe say, hey, I do want Argentinian beef. I don't know why you would, because they are not anywhere near USDA food standards. Not that I'm a huge fan of the USDA, but we do have a lot more regulation on antibiotics, hormones, all of these types of things. American beef, I'm going to always go, really hard for American beef. That's my bread and butter. That's my family. So if we had country of origin labeling, as a consumer, you could really make that decision. I want to purchase Argentinian beef. Without country of label origin, it makes it dark, right? So there's no transparency. You really don't know what you're getting. Like I said, it's a sub-quality beef overall. Just because I know beef and I know what I like in my beef and what I don't like in my beef, and I think a lot of people, if they really dug into that a little more, they'd be like, yeah, okay, I see why American beef, outperforms across the board. And so I really don't want a sub-quality meat that's not labeled coming in at a larger import than what we're used to seeing. And it undercuts our American farmers significantly, and we're already struggling, right? I'm going to be talking about the corn crisis because where I'm at, it's beef and corn, man. That's what we got going on out here. So that would be my argument as to why I don't want to see, the government's trying to undercut American beef.
But okay, so I think that there's room to quibble in some of these things. To some extent, I agree with you when it comes to labeling that if food comes from other countries, I would like to know that. That way I have the choice. But I do think that the availability of healthy food like beef is something that is to some extent a human right, meaning that it should be my right to decide if I want to buy it from American farmers or from Argentine farmers. Now, you say that you are a fan of Jay Millet. You didn't like the currency swap deal that we did. It did end up being not a bailout. It ended up actually being something that the United States profited from. So the question is, in terms of how we help libertarians or in the United States or around the world, it helped him win his election. I think there's no question about that. So he gets to do more free market reforms and continue his experiment there in Argentina, which helps us and our cause to a large extent. And the United States profited from it. So overall, such a bad thing? Your thoughts?
No, actually, I think I would like you to tell me a little bit more. I don't seem to be as informed. Like, I don't watch national politics very closely. I watch my state. Like, you want to talk about Colorado, we can talk about every detail. So, just at a glance, and sometimes I go a little deeper than a glance, and I started to do that, but then I got sidetracked with everything I've done. So could you tell me a little bit more about how the U.S. benefited from that? Because I have not heard that, and I like that.
Yes. So it's basically foreign currency exchange. So the United States offered $20 billion in currency swap, a foreign exchange of their pesos for dollars, in the event of a run on their currency, which was starting to happen in the weeks coming up to the election. So Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, had offered a $20 billion line of credit swap so that they could swap pesos for dollars, which essentially bolstered the value of their currency. With the hinging on the outcome of their elections, because if Javier Milei had lost, rather than seeing the massive amount of investment that we're seeing now, and their stock market is exploding, the value of the peso is steadying, we could have seen a disaster, if that had not occurred. And of course, he might have lost his elections and they wouldn't have bolstered the economy. But the United States, they offered that $20 billion. But the $20 billion, it wasn't like it was a bailout. They didn't just give them money. It was about swapping pesos for dollars. So it's kind of like a Forex, essentially. So the idea was that they would enhance the liquidity and international reserves so that the volatility of their markets would stabilize. And what happened was, since Javier Milei won, the value of the peso rose in relation to the dollar, and the United States actually made about $2 billion from that offer. And we do this to other countries, Japan, Italy. There's like maybe 4 or 5 other countries that we offer currency swaps with. Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent, he's a zillionaire, and he's made these kinds of deals, and he always ends up making money. It's kind of like gambling a little bit on the taxpayer's dime, but because Scott Bessent is actually so shrewd, he has made money for the U.S. taxpayer in these things. So it's all about U.S. offers to buy Argentine bonds. And it apparently has been a humongous moneymaker for us and stabilized Argentina and allowed Javier Milei to increase the number of deputies that he has in parliament, so they get to go on and they continue to, chainsaw the hell out of the government down there. So, I mean, a risk, maybe you shouldn't be able to take these kinds of risks with taxpayer dollars, but they do, they've paid off. It's kind of like if somebody were to take your dollar and say, go to the casino, bet it all on blackjack, win, and then give you your profit and a half. In a sense, right?
Yeah. Okay. So hearing it broke down into that, I am following you completely. I'm understanding exactly what happened. So at a glance, you're just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't have all the time in the world to deal with this. But Jen, I do actually like this. So I'm a little like, maybe should we and who should be gambling actually with a taxpayer dollar? That would be more around what I would be a little hesitant on. However, I like that this worked out in our favor and that we've made billions and that it's a currency swap. I have not heard that. So understanding that it is, and I know that we do, and I know what that does, I'm like, okay, I'm caught up. I know exactly. So potentially making a more uninformed announcement wasn't the best thing to do, but I kind of do that sometimes.
We all do. We all do, Hannah. I just wanted to be clear because there's been so much misinformation, and it's mostly come from leftists and from the Groypers who hate Javier Milei because he's nice to Jewish people, not because of any kind of a bailout, right? So they mischaracterize this story because they dislike that he is friends with the United States and Israel. But what this really is it's not just an economic, it wasn't just an economic play, but it's a foreign policy play because the Trump administration wants to ensure that the United States has allies in the Latin American world because South America is, of course, overwhelmingly socialist and communist. But let's move off of that for a second. I didn't want you to switch the Democratic Party and for people to say Austin's weak. He didn't call her out at all in anything. So I found the one thing to call you out on, Hannah. But I do like the strategy. I do think that it's wise for libertarians to infiltrate the major parties. If you can make the Democratic Party more libertarian in Colorado, I say so be it. Stop all those terrible gun laws. Stop all of the high taxes. I'm coming out there I'm bringing some of my money, my family money this over the Christmas break. We're going to come to Winter Park. We're going to ski for a couple of days. We're going to spend our money there, but I would feel a lot better if I could stay strapped under my ski jacket with an MP5 submachine gun. But I know that you need special, you got to have special permits for those out there. So,
do you?
I think
legally,
so.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Legally, yes.
Yes,
I'll
legally.
Say legally, yes.
Yeah, but if the ski patrol, if I fall down and break my leg and the ski control finds an H&K, $3,000 submachine gun under my ski jacket, then I'm pretty sure that your buddy Jared Polis isn't going to come bail me out, unfortunately.
I don't know. Maybe I can make a phone call.
I don't know. If I do, I'll let you know. Hannah, is there anything else that you think we've missed about this story or something that you'd like to mention? You can plug anything that you'd like before we let you go today.
I think it's really important for people to understand, not only was I the chair of the Libertarian Party of Colorado, I'm currently the chair of the Chainsaw Caucus PAC. We're a non-partisan political PAC whose main goal is to close the financial loop on government and keep and find liberty candidates to get elected and keep in office. So with that, you can see that this move is essentially that I'm bringing the chainsaw into the Democratic Party. I'm going to chainsaw them for liberty. We're going to push them to be better. We're going to find better candidates. We're going to take their focus off of the hyper-partisan stuff, and we're going to go back to common sense. And I'm going to do it come hell or high water, even single-handedly. So with that, yes?
I'm just laughing. Go ahead.
Okay, so with that, if you're interested in the Chainsaw Caucus PAC, you can go to chainsawcaucus.org. You can check out the work that we're doing in Colorado. We're looking to expand nationally. We're in current talks with some people in New Mexico and some people in Nebraska, and we're bringing this unique style of politicking across the states so that we can break hyper-partisanship, we can push liberty to the forefront, and we can bring our ideas in a full frontal assault way that actually gets things done. So if you would like to support that mission, of course, you can donate to us. You can become a sustaining member for $5 a month, and we can help, solve these critically economic problems throughout all the different states. Whatever your landscape looks like, we can apply our outside of the box thinking to help you start making waves and pushing the needle for liberty. So that's chainsawcaucus.org. You can come check us out. And I'm the chair of that.
Well, Hannah, you are certainly an unorthodox libertarian, probably the most unorthodox I've ever met, but I wish you the best of luck. Congratulations. And thank you so much for joining us here and being so generous with your time. We wish you the best, and maybe we'll see you when we're out in Colorado. You have a wonderful day.
Yes, you too. Am I the real libertarian? Am I the only one real libertarian?
No, you're not. It's just me. Sorry. Bye, Hannah. Have a good one.
Bye.
What did you guys think of Hannah Goodman? You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Whenever we don't unlock the bonus content, I get nervous, guys. Like, we can't do this a whole lot because the bonus content is how I'm like, okay, we can continue the show for another month. When we always make the bonus content, I'm like, okay, we could do it. So it's okay not to do it every once in a while. I know, I understand. Times is hard. But just remember, interviews like Hannah Goodman every Wednesday with a judge. What would it be like if there was no Mondays with Miltimore? What about can you imagine? What about no Freedom Family Friday? How would you guys like that? Would you like to wake up next month and just nothing in the mornings, just cold? I don't think that you guys want that. Frankly, I would hate it. So here's what you guys have to do. You have to be like our friends over in Japan. You got to get yourself some sweet Javier Milei merch. Check this out. Big in Japan. Over at forlibertyshop.com, our friend Rieke Kawai said, to celebrate Argentina's midterm elections, the Javier Milei Afuera hoodie has arrived. It's super warm and has a great texture. I'll be wearing it out in the streets of Japan now that the weather's getting colder. Afuera! You can buy it here. Look at that. I'm going to bookmark that one right there. Yeah, they're going to be wearing it in the streets of Japan, and you can be wearing it here in the streets of Jefferson City, Missouri. Get them out at forlibertyshop.com, the number 4libertyshop.com, and no black pills here, guys. Hopefully we'll unlock that bonus content tomorrow, and hopefully we'll still be here. Have a wonderful day. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
I'm literally white, but I'm going as an Indian this year. No, they're indigenous people. Hi, I'm Sarah Phelan, and I can see Russia from my house. Hey, would you like to have a civil conversation? No. Okay, have a nice day. Dang it. This just in. Palestine is officially free. Oh, yes! Thanks to the efforts of Donald J. Trump. Yeah! The energy. I'm literally white, but I'm going as an Indian this year. No, they're indigenous people.
Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that in 2025, men can get pregnant, waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have Drag Queen Story Hour for toddlers, pronouns are mandatory, and Harvard can't define woman. Oh. And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense, but you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop forlibertyshop.com.